Welcome to everybody. Just wanted to do an update on this Toylander 2. As you can see, I've done the new bonnet now. It's made of aluminium. The old one was metal and it didn't work properly, and the aluminium is much easier to work with and it's good shape now. I'll bring the camera over in a minute. But there's a lot of things, quite a few things I wanted to mention. If you're building one of these, my suggestion would be don't mess with the plans. Build it as original and buy the parts from Toylander. I'm not getting any commission for this, but I know from my own, I've been my own worst enemy in making this a long wheelbase, making the marine ply 19mm instead of 14, and it's put all the specifications and all the plans completely out, which is my own doing. And I'm pretty sure if I'd gone with all the standard with the plans, and I did use their measurements, but obviously I had to incorporate some extra measurements because of the size of the plywood. But building it's been fairly easy. Mounting the motors and getting them aligned properly so the chain doesn't keep coming off, which apparently is a problem I've seen on, there's a Toylander forum, Toylander Club forum, and it can be a bit of a problem. And so my suggestion would be is buy the stuff from Toylander, the steering and the motors and the wheels. The rest you can get away with because it's not operating the car backwards and forwards, the lights, even everything. But really make sure you buy their axle, their wheels, their motors, the chains, and the steering gear, because it just isn't worth messing around with. I've built all my own front steering and it's not as good as the original. And it turns out I bought some wheels, and the wheels I bought them here in Austria, and the bearings on them are nowhere near as good as their bearings. In the back ones, because they've got drive sprockets on them, they've put a double bearing in. Same design, a plastic cage with just needle bearings in it, or needle rollers in it. But the difference, if you see here, you can see it's got an axle that things on it, but if you see here, hang on, there's quite a bit of movement in that bearing. They're really more for kind of a garden buggy. And on the back here, it's really, the bearings are very, very strong. So what I'll do is I'll go over a few things with you. I'll get down and show you this drive shaft working forwards and backwards, and I'll go over a couple of things that you should know about. So if you're making one of these, at least you've got a heads up on it. I've not seen anybody talk about the downsides of making one of these, just seeing the kids running around in them. Anyway, so here we go, I'll show you so as I say, you can see that bonnet is much nicer now in the aluminium. It's a much better fit. So I'll take you around here and I'll show you this. So I've wired it all up. At the moment it's just kind of in place. It'll all be put in properly. This will go in the front here and so on and so forth. So I've got this switch on here, and the way I've done it is, in the short wheelbase version, this would be inside here, and the drive shaft, the 90-degree drive shaft, would come through just about here somewhere. Because this is a longer version, it's been a lot of messing around. I've had to put two adjustable threaded bar on it to get it adjusted right. You will hear a bit of a click, and what's happened is what I've realised now is I've put a dial gauge onto this wheel, onto the sprocket, and the sprocket's actually welded at a wrong angle, and that's what's making the clicking noise. So either they have to send me another one, or I'll have to try and straighten it somehow. What I've done is I've just put the throttle, the electronic of this. It's just a little potential gauge. I've just put it here so I can show you. What I do intend to do is actually put it in the middle, which sounds a bit strange, but I'm going to put it in the middle because most of the kiddies that are using this for the first year or two, their parents will be with them, so they can control it better. And this is the brake system here. And basically all that is a bar across the back with two pieces of rubber on the tubing, which I'll show you in a second, and it just sits on the inside of the wheels, the metal of the wheels, and it's just a friction brake really. Anyway, so what you end up with is this switch which goes in the top there. There's a hole that you can see for it, and you've got forwards and backwards on it. So if I push this down there, you can see this. You can see this turning, and you can see, I don't know if I can hold it. If I hold this wheel here, they work a bit like a differential, where the power goes to the wheel with least resistance. So if I turn this, that one will go, and if I hold this on the other side and hold this wheel with my leg, you'll see this one turning. And then obviously this switch goes in the dashboard, and you got middle, which is neutral basically, and this now will show it going backwards. So theoretically it can go forwards and backwards at the same thing. So what I'll do now is I'll bring this down here so you can see it, and I'll put the light on for you so you can see it. And this is how I kind of lined it up. So this is how it works. I don't know if I can do this at the same time. Just hang on, I'll just try and get down. And you can hear it. You'll get like a little, put my foot on that, accelerate it, and you can see, hopefully you can see it. Hang on. Right, so you see it turn. Okay, it's in reverse, but it doesn't really matter. And you can see what actually is, it's that, I don't know if I can keep this steady enough. There's a very slight movement in there. And the other thing is you can see there that there's no spaces in between the stop. So the axle is kind of free floating, this bearing on it. Anyway, so this is how it's set up, and this is the brake bar. You can see there's a piece of rubber, and all it does is sits in against, as you put pressure on the pedal, this pushes in here and stops. It's like a friction brake, and that nut there, I don't know if you can see it, there we go, that nut there just goes up against to adjust the brakes up and down. So anyway, yeah, that's it. So and you can see there's a little bit of difference here between, I'll just turn this off. You can see there's a little bit of difference here, well, not a little bit, a lot of difference between their wheel and this other one. Apart from the dish, you can see that the circumference or the complete diameter is bigger on this one, and these have like a tread on them, whereas the front ones, which I'll change, I'll get their steering gear and I'll get their wheels, because the axles are, the hole in the centre here is different from these ones I bought in Austria. But as I say, the steering works fine. So, but there you go. That's how it's set up, and what I'll do now is I'll put an aluminium cover over here, but I'll put air holes in it so that the motors can, so they can cool down easier. But I have to admit they're pretty good. I've driven it up and down my little driveway, and I'm 112, 114 kilos, and it takes my weight no problem. Anyway, so as I say, I'll just put this cover over here and down here with vent holes in it, put the seat back in, get it back on the road again. So it's going to be used on Thursday for little Josh who's coming, and then we're good. So as I say, if you're going to buy one of these kits, unless you really want to, don't mess with all the making changes in it, because it'll just really screw you up big time. You know, just go with air stuff. It's a lot easier. The motors are much stronger. I mean, these motors here are quite difficult to turn, you know, when there's no power going to them. You know, unlike this one I bought off eBay, which I can turn easily. You know, it's 10 times harder to do that on this one. So the motors are much better. Anyway, thanks for watching in. When Joshy comes during the week, I'll do a little film of him. Hopefully